The moon has a really big month for March. We have a total lunar eclipse on the way. That's where the moon starts to darken, almost looks like it's disappearing, and then all of a sudden it turns this really deep blood orange color. The last time we had a total lunar eclipse was back in 2022, and now we've got one for March 2025. We want to explain what's happening and some tips on how you can see the total lunar eclipse. Should be a pretty cool sight. All right, coming up, March 13th through the 14th. So the night of the 13th into the morning of the 14th, we've got the full moon. It's called the full warm moon. There's also a couple other words, the eagle moon, the goose moon, the crow comes back moon, the wind strong moon. That's actually really good for Indiana because we've got March being our windiest month of the year on average, and the sugar moon. But we're talking about the full worm moon because you can start seeing more worm activity, but then also kind of these, the Native Americans would see these larvae kind of on the barks of some of these thawing trees, and so they would call it the full worm moon. But because we have a total lunar eclipse, we get to call it a full blood worm moon. That's when the moon is going to look red. We're going to have an hour or two in the middle of the night where you'll look up, full moon, and it is red as a blood orange out there. So how can we see it? What's going on? How is this even possible? So we've got Earth, of course, where we are. We've got the moon going around in its orbit. And due to the position of the moon relative to the Earth and relative, to our sight and its line of sight to the sun, we've got our different phases, right? We're constantly changing every single night. You have different moon rises and moon sets and different phases. Well, the only time you can have a total lunar eclipse is on the night of a full moon. Of course, it doesn't happen every full moon. It's actually kind of rare. Sometimes, maybe every other year, maybe a couple year stretch, or maybe even a few times in a year. It's all different. But it really depends on how the moon is exactly positioned in accordance with the sun. So, in this perspective, we kind of are imagining that the sun is kind of in the front of the screen looking towards the Earth. So you illuminate one half the Earth, right? And then the only way you can have a full moon for us is if the moon is kind of on the back side of the Earth, but it's just off enough that the sunlight can still get around the Earth and hit the moon, and we have a beautiful full moon. We get them, every 28 days or so, depending on our cycles. But what happens when the moon was directly on the other side of the Earth? Well, if you're completely in the Earth's shadow, penumbra, we'll actually turn it red. We want to talk about why it turns red and the timing of when it will be red for the total lunar eclipse. All right, highly in-depth visualization from NASA. Here's the sun. It's not to scale, by the way, but here's the sun, here's the Earth. When you've got the sunlight rays hitting the Earth, one half is illuminated, of course. And then you've got the moon on the back side. If you look really closely, you kind of see this kind of more orangey black color. Those are showing you all the sun's rays, but notice how they get darker right here on the far side of the Earth. Well, when you're in the total shadow of the Earth, what happens is the sunlight is going right over the North Pole and the South Pole. A lot of the blues and the whites, the cooler colors, are eliminated from the atmosphere as they're at sunset and sunrise. When you're at sunset and sunrise, it's beautiful, right? You get the oranges, you get the reds. Well, as the sunlight is passing through constant sunset and sunrise there at the North Pole and South Pole, that light is actually cast onto the moon. So all Earth's sunrises and sunsets are what we see on the face of the moon, and that's why it looks red. So Indianapolis, this is what a beautiful sunset will look like. You're looking at Monument Circle. All this color, all the reds and oranges are the colors that are actually cast on the moon, while all these blues are not. They're kind of scattered off towards space. And that's the reason why we can get the moon to look red. Here's another way to look at it. This is actually kind of the perspective from the moon itself. Look at all these color wavelengths. You've got the cooler colors, and then here you've got the red color, right? Look how that's kind of cast a little bit closer to the Earth. So if the moon was sitting right here, it would get more of the oranges and reds rather than the brighter whites and blues. Those would be off towards the side. You can actually see all the sunrises and sunsets taking place around the Earth. But that's the reason why it is red. In fact, NASA has this cool visualization. Imagine if you were sitting or standing on the moon and you're looking back off towards the Earth, this is what it would look like. You know, it'd be a total solar eclipse for you on the moon, but you see this cast of light all the way around the Earth. Remember when we had that total solar eclipse? It's kind of what it would look like, but we're just switching who has the moon and who has the Earth, you know, who's blocking the sun. But if you're standing on the moon, it would look red because you have all those sunrises and sunsets cast right on you. So that's why we are red. So let's talk about the timing, right? We understand how it works, but we want to see it. We want to get a cool photo. We've got to get up in the middle of the night. We have everything in Eastern Daylight Time. Total lunar eclipse is technically starting 11:57 on March 13th, but really March 14th will be the time. As the moon is kind of getting behind the Earth, imagine these are the shadows of the Earth. You've got the penumbra and the umbra. So in the penumbra, we're talking more about partial shadow there. You're going to start to see the moon get darker. But in the umbra, that is the full direct shadow of the moon. So as the moon gets in this, as it's kind of falling in the sky just a little bit closer to the horizon, you're going to see it go from pure white, kind of like a normal full moon, to all of a sudden, 50% of the moon starts to get covered there just after 1 o'clock, early in the morning, 1:09 a.m., 50% begins. But notice, from our perspective, it'll actually be kind of hard to see this red color at first. It might just kind of look darker. In fact, it might just look like a crescent moon. You'll start to see some of it disappear. Now let's continue to play it out. By 2:26, totality begins. All of a sudden, you know, the moon's getting darker and darker and darker, but before it completely goes away, it just flashes back up in this red and orange color. It's going to be beautiful, but totality begins there at 2:26. I mean, we're talking in the middle of the night. You're going to have to set an alarm either really late or really early, depending on your sleep schedule. Greatest eclipse time, just right around 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. These are the same exact times for everyone across North America and South America. You've just got to adjust for your time zone, but the same time will be happening. You know, folks in San Francisco will see the same exact view at the same standard type of time, UTC, as they're seeing in New York City. So this is what we're looking at. About 3 o'clock, 2:59 technically, the greatest eclipse. That's when you're going to want to look up. It's going to look its deepest red and orange color. It's going to be beautiful. But then, can't last forever. The moon, and notice how this kind of happens once we're in the full umbra, the full shadow. There's no any kind of light coming in towards the moon other than those sunrises and sunsets around the outer edge of the Earth. So we're sitting pretty right for a while. And also, every total lunar eclipse has a different time frame on how long it lasts, because notice how this one's kind of cutting towards the top half of the shadow ring. This white line shows you the shadow ring, essentially, kind of cutting through. The total lunar eclipse would last longer if it was kind of taking a direct path in the middle. It would have a little bit more time. But hey, we're still getting some good time with this. 3 o'clock. We push it out. Totality ends by 3:31. So really, there's only about an hour to see the total lunar eclipse. So you've got to get up and look at it. I would suggest 3 o'clock, but you can still see it by about 3:30. And then all of a sudden, you'll start to see the moon kind of darken and disappear, and you'll start to see a sliver of light again, kind of another crescent moon. As this kind of fades away, you'll start to see the white again. 50% partial, see where we're going? Just kind of the exact opposite now. Just after 4:30, and then everything is done by 6 o'clock in the morning. We're waking up, you're seeing the moon set. Normal full moon at that point, but you can only have it on a full moon, because otherwise the moon is not anywhere near the Earth's shadow. It's way off, kind of in different parts of its orbit. Only on a full moon can this take place. But 3 o'clock would be the estimated time in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. All right, who's going to be able to see it? Well, everyone in North America and most of South America. Now you kind of see this blue line. We'll kind of have a little bit more of a partial lunar eclipse, but very close to full, even parts of eastern South America there towards Brazil and very eastern portions of Argentina and Uruguay. But here in the U.S., everyone gets a view. Now the question is, are you clear enough to see it? Hopefully you don't have clouds that night. You want to be able to see it. But everyone in Canada and the U.S. will be able to. Now Alaska and Hawaii kind of in that partial there just a little bit tougher to get the full effect, but we're still kind of in a good zone for us. It's the other side of the world that won't really be able to see it. Right here in the Americas, we will. Next time we have a total lunar eclipse will actually be later this year, but it's on the other side of the Earth, so we won't be able to see it here in the U.S. So this is our chance to see it for 2025. So this is kind of a composite. A lot of photographers take these. Really cool, right? As we see the moon kind of dipping down in the sky. It's not going to be at this level of the horizon. This is a previous lunar eclipse, but in the past, lunar eclipses have actually changed history. I just picked two different times. These are both in BC, but at 413 BC at the 91st Olympiad, it was that year, it actually delayed the Athenian army for 27 days, and actually that was bad news for them. If they kept going, they probably would have been more successful, but they camped out a little bit later and kind of delayed their operation because they saw the total lunar eclipse and kind of rethought things. You know, a lot of times if you had a total lunar eclipse, you saw the moon just turn red all of a sudden, that blood orange type of red. You think, okay, something's up, something's not good, maybe we need to change our plans. But it actually didn't work out for them. And then Alexander the Great, 331 BC, a battle with the Assyrians was also delayed. It was delayed, but then eventually the battle was won. But it kind of held off for a few more days just because of the total lunar eclipse. So sometimes it has changed history. Will it change history this time? Probably not, but hopefully it may change your sleep history just a little bit the night of as you're trying to get a cool photo. But once again, right around 3 o'clock, 2:30 to 3 o'clock, look up at the night sky. You'll be able to see the total lunar eclipse for here in March of 2025. Should be a really cool view. This night sky has been pretty active for 2025. We had the full planetary alignment, although some were kind of hard to see, and some of you definitely need a telescope. But now here in March, we got a total lunar eclipse. Next one will be, I believe, in September, but for the other side of the planet. So make sure you look up in the middle of the night, March 13th into March 14th.